film, you've digested it. Thoughts on Saturday?
It was a strange game. It's one of the first where I've been a part of where you got something completely different than what you were expecting. And we went back and we had peaked at Central Florida and they played a little bit of odd, but nothing like what we saw. And I think more of it's going to come because I think that as Iowa State has done a really, really good job with that three safety package. You've seen us do a little bit defensively last year with Isaiah, and in the past with Isaiah and some of those guys. Wasn't expecting it, so we had to make some adjustments. And then it almost felt like it was playing option football. You only got 8 possessions in the game, and they were going to make us be patient, put together drives, run the football. And then they were mixing up some coverages, really trying to confuse the young quarterback. They were playing some press coverage. They would bail, then they would press bail and stop, doing some different things. So, after watching it, we did some good things, but still some things we got to get better. I was proud that we were able to lean on the run and find a way. The guys, they continue to play hard. They all want to have success. We got to clean up our ball security. We had a couple of drops in some critical situations, some penalties. Some times we were a little bit out of sync, one guy not on the same page. So, still a work in progress. I felt like, we're headed in the right direction. I thought DJ, played better. He has 3 throws in that game that I think he'd want back, but I thought overall he played better. And then it was a learning situation for all of us down there at the end of the game on the 1-yard line. And obviously it just creates discussion for us and moving forward how we want to handle that situation. So a lot of room for growth.
Tony, you said there's more to come. So how do you guys counter this? Is this what you think you're going to start seeing a lot of?
Well, if you look at NC State, that's what they're playing. They're basically a 3-3-5 defense, and so I think that obviously you're gonna have to run the ball. Structurally, you'll have to see how they're gonna sit with their corners when they play that, and they're dropping 8 in the coverage. And so you got to run the football, and then you got to try and find some windows. But there's a lot of underneath coverage guys. So going forward, each week we'll have a plan for it. But again, going into that game, what we'd seen out of Georgia Tech has been 4 down. They stemmed to a little bit of odd stand up a weak side in, but nothing like what we saw.
Tony, did you think the offensive line would be further along by this point, both in performance and in depth?
We had a lot of hope coming out of camp that was going to be the situation. But currently it is what it is, and the biggest thing for us is, in fairness to Marcus, man, that's tough on a freshman. You go in, you prepare all week, and then you get into the game, and you're looking at something that you hadn't seen. And we're on the sideline, we're able to make adjustments with some of the older guys, so it was a little bit tough on him. So we got to help him with just trying to find some more depth at that left guard position to help him in some situations. But the guys are working hard. It's just taking a little bit of time for the cohesion and chemistry of those guys to come together. And in the past, we've had it happen quickly, but this is a situation where it's taking a little bit of time. And as coaches, we got to do a good job of just trying to help them week in and week out as they kind of find their cohesion and rhythm together as a unit of 5.
Cody, when you go from 2018, 2019, kind of averaging over 6 yards a carry to now around 4, how does that change play calling, offense?
Right.
What's your aim?
Well, I think it's been a crazy start to the season. You go in and you're playing Georgia, the best defense in the country, and you know that you're not going to be able to run it. And then we get in a situation where we abandon the run, and we try to throw the ball and see can we stay aggressive. Then you come out, you play South Carolina State, and obviously we were just trying to find a rhythm. So we were trying to be balanced there. Then you get into this game, and obviously we had to run the ball, to win the game. And so I think the explosives will come over time, as we continue to, like you said, find that cohesion up front. Again, the backs can improve as well with some of their tracking and in their discipline. And again, Shipley's a freshman. Kobe's not a freshman, but he hasn't played a ton. So it's going to take a little bit of time just for all those nuances to come together. But once it does, I'm excited about what the potential could be.
Hindsight, people look back and they think Deshaun Watson never had a bad game. And to me, I'm watching a little bit of this, and I think about 2014 Louisville. 20-17, Deshaun didn't play really well. People were calling for changes.
Yeah.
Does it remind you of that a little bit?
I think everybody likes the backup quarterback, or maybe even the backup offensive coordinator, whoever that may be. But guys, it's football. You know, it's football, and guys are going to have to learn. You know, and we're in a situation where we got some youth at positions, you know, that we got to grow up, and the only way they can grow up is to go play. And so us as coaches, we got to do a great job of just nurturing. You know, the one thing about these guys, they're playing hard, right? They're trying to play physical. You know, we just technically got to get a little bit better, and those are the things that are going to come with experience. And you know, it's at every position. You know, tight end included. You know, with some guys got to clean up some technical things. So, you know, that's where we are. And again, not asking for anything from anybody other than just trusting that, man, we're doing everything we can. These young men, they have character. You know, they have grit. You know, they have the big things, and we just got to keep working and pushing to clean up the little things. And when it comes together, then it's got a chance to be reminiscent of what their DNA is.
So there's never a thought of, hey, let's sit DJ series, let Tyson take over. It's just DJ's got to go learn.
Yeah, DJ's got to go learn. You know, and again, I felt like he played his best game. You know, in terms of the 3 that he's played, this was his best game. Yeah, he had 3 throws, but he ran the ball. You know, and what we asked him to do, and coming out of the half in a lightning delay, you know, it was whatever it took to win the game. And if they're going to sit back and they're going to drop 8 in the coverage, then we got to lean on the run game. And I'm saying drop 8 in the coverage. Well, they got 8, but then they got 5 guys roaming around that are attacking the line of scrimmage. And, you know, and then sometimes you're getting isolated on blocks. And then when you go to double team, you get scissored off. And so it was just a challenge, you know, for those guys. But they accepted the challenge. And at the end of the day, we found a way to score enough points. We got to do a better job of helping our defense. You look at those 2 red zone situations. Obviously, on the 4th down call, we wrap a little bit tighter. You know, that's a young guy. We wrap a little bit tighter. You know, he fits that up. Shipley's going to squirt, and then you got DJ, you know, carrying the ball and his right arm going to his left, you know, and really trying to strain, you know, and that's something we talk about on 3rd down. Don't reach the ball on 3rd down. Wait till 4th down, right? You want to possess the ball, so even if we don't get it, at least we have the ball on 4th down. But he's scrapping, he's fighting, you know, he's trying to make a play, and just fundamentally he doesn't have it, you know, where it needs to be, and the ball comes out. And so that's two scoring opportunities that we had right there. So I felt like we moved the ball, even though it may not be, you know, what everybody expects with the big explosive plays. But when they're dropping 8, you're not going to find the explosive plays. And then if you know, take a bunch of shots downfield in that situation, you know, and you're 2nd and 10, you're 2nd and long, you know, 3rd and long, then you give the advantage to the defense. So the plan there was just, hey, run the football, let's be efficient, let's put together a drive. They're challenging us to do it. Let's go prove we can win away, and just proud of the guys for that. And we just got to clean up the little things.
Tony, you implied after the game that you guys considered the intentional safety, which lots of teams have done in prominent situations. Whose decision was it not to do that? Why didn't you?
Coach ultimately makes the decisions, you know, down there, and we discussed it, and then he talked about, hey, let's try and see if we can draw him off sides, and we didn't get him to jump, and then we do what we do, and you know, obviously, learning going forward, you know, we got to be able to go up under center and have a quarterback sneak, but that just hasn't been something that's been a part of our offense because we've been in shotgun offense from the time that Chad's been here for the most part. So Coach makes those decisions, and everybody was on the same page, and obviously Shipley's out of the end zone. He takes care of the ball. He doesn't fumble it. Then the clock runs out, and you know it's a different situation. But great learning situation for us as coaches as well, and create a good discussion.
The lack of explosives in the passing game, do you think that's more about defensive plays too? Is that execution?
Right. Well, you know, you look at the Georgia game. You know, we had a couple of potential explosives, but we weren't on the same page. You know, we missed a couple of those. Then you look in South Carolina State. Obviously, we were trying to establish running game because we didn't have run game there. So that kind of game plan there was to be balanced, and obviously we were able to do what we needed to do there. And then you come back in this game, and obviously we had a ton of explosives the year before. You know, in the passing game in particular. And so they changed up how they were going to play, and they're dropping 8 in the coverage and telling you that you got to run the football. And so that's kind of what we leaned on was a philosophy of running the football to win the game. And you know, we had a couple that we missed. You know, we had a back shoulder opportunity down the field that we missed. We had a bang 8 throw right there on a 3rd down that we missed. We had a corner ball on a 3rd and 5, you know, that we missed. So again, you know, we're having some opportunities. We just haven't been able to connect on those, and it'll come in time. You know, as these guys continue to play through, you know, just play through the learning curve.
Tony, is this just like, you're a baseball guy, so it's just like baseball where you just kind of got to get that first pitch and then maybe get contagious.
You know, I think some of that is true. You know, we got to find a way, especially with the down the field throws. You know, I think we haven't connected on one of those yet. I think when we do, then obviously DJ's confidence is going to grow in that. The receiver's confidence is going to grow in that. So I think it is contagious.
Coach, we saw DJ have 7 rushing attempts for 43 yards in the second half last game. Do you all plan on incorporating him more as a runner, and if so, what does that do for your offense?
You know, I think when after we made the adjustments, I said, hey, we're going to have to be able to run the ball. And if you look, okay, second drive of the game, I think we had 8 plays and we ran it 7 times and went in and scored. You know what I'm saying? So we were having success, with handing the ball to the backs. But then once we made the adjustments and really kind of got a good feel of how we felt like they were going to defend us the rest of the way, we wanted to incorporate the quarterback. And I think it helped him too. I think it got him going, give him a little bit of confidence. And again, our offense, when we can incorporate the quarterback, it helps to try and keep defenses honest. And going forward, as back to a question I had before, if they're going to have 8 men in the box, then you're going to have to be able to run your quarterback to at least try and eliminate one of the hats that's extra down there.
Tony, what have you seen out of North Carolina State's?
Yeah, they're structurally they're very similar to what we just saw. They base out of a 3-man front. They got a lot of experience. I think 9 of the 11 are returning starters, and I think the other 2 have started probably 3 or 4 games in their career. So they got a ton of experience, playing with a ton of confidence. You can tell that they believe in what they're doing defensively. They're in position. They're aggressive. They're downhill. Even though it's a 3-man front, man, they're built to stop the run. I mean, they're going to have their linebackers close to the line of scrimmage. They're going to be shooting gaps, trying to peel you off so that you don't get any double teams. But I think the difference is they're a little bit structurally on the back end with the way they play their coverages is a little bit different than Georgia Tech. So excited about the challenge. Again, we haven't seen outside of our practice field on occasion with Coach V, you haven't seen this style of defense quite as much. But I think you're going to see more of the 3-3-5, especially with the success that Iowa State has had, and people are going to learn from those guys.
Did Britt go to Iowa State?
I think there's been some conversation. I don't know.
Maybe video?
They probably talked, but I don't know if they actually during COVID if they were able to go up there or not. But I know they've had some conversation with those guys.
So can you pick Britt's brain just a little bit
Okay.
about it and say,
Yeah, we will.
What did you learn there?
We will. And Coach Sweeney has it structured to where we do a great job of crossing over. So we look at each other. We're always trying to evaluate, doing self-scout, seeing where we can get better. I think the biggest thing right now for us is just fundamentally, fundamentally we got to get better at certain positions. And I think as those fundamentals increase and we get better, then the cohesion is going to start to come together on the offensive line, and then that's where we go. We're led up front. We got to have that cohesion there, and then it spreads to everybody else.
That what we're saying with the offensive line, that things in practice are not necessarily translating over to the game.
Yeah, that's the frustrating thing, man. Because the guys had a great week of practice. Great week of practice all the way around, and it's not just the offensive line. It's at multiple positions. Just guys trusting their technique. And when you get in the game and the bullets are flying full speed, you got to trust your technique. And I think some guys are just going out there and things start moving fast, and then they're just reacting. And I think the more you can slow it down in practice, the more it's going to be slow in the game. But we're just having a little bit of a disconnect that we got to push through and we got to grow through. A lot like with the ball security. Ball security is good in practice, then you get in the game and not so much. But we just got to keep pushing through those moments in the game, learn from it. But the one thing we can't do is we can't stop doing what we're doing in practice. We got to continue to have good practices, and then that's going to translate, more frequently to the game.
I was gonna say, when you're going back into a film review and talking, how do you measure? That was on this too so much like this. How do you measure trying to be positive and uplifting with also we've got to get this fixed and trying to make that?
Yeah, it's a balancing act because, as I said, I mean these young men are playing hard. They're playing hard. Effort's not an issue. Want to's not an issue. It's just trusting the technique. So you got to love them up, but then at the same time too, you got to be hard on them. You know what I'm saying, and make sure that you're very detailed in what you're doing throughout the course of the week, and then holding them accountable to the details in the game as well.
Tony, going against your own really good defense of Brent in the summer, did you see any of the issues with DJ that you were talking about after the game with his footwork, his throwing off now and stuff like that. Did you see that in the summer?
You know, there were some moments in fall camp. You know, because I mean, it gets, like I said, I've said it before, it gets challenging on this practice field, both physically and schematically. And I think that's going to pay dividends down the road, but not. It hasn't come to fruition yet. But yeah, you see a couple things, and you know, I think DJ is an ultra talented guy that can make every throw and every awkward off body throw. So sometimes, like any great player, they tend to lean on their talent. You know, and we just got to get them refocused on yes, your talent is great, but your talent can be even taken to another level if you just stay committed to the fundamentals and the details. And then I think, you know, up front, you know, once that cohesion comes together, then he'll be able to feel a little bit more, you know, more steady to be able to trust his technique in the pocket, and then the timing will be, you know, a little bit better on some of the throws, and then we'll connect and it'll be contagious, and here we go.
And fundamentally, what are you working with them on the most? Just accuracy on the defense.
You know, it's just making sure that he's not falling away. You know, he's not opening his shoulder too much. You know, throwing off of his heels. You know, those are some of the things there. And you know, in fairness to him, we got to give him more opportunities. You know, down the field. You know, to kind of work on his timing, and then also too, just not staying in the pocket too long. You know, and sometimes you got to pull it down. And you got to take off and scramble, especially when you're playing against, you know, defenses that are dropping 8 in the coverage.
With his footwork and throwing off the back foot and stuff, is that something you noticed last year at all, or is it just more so he's been?
No, he's had that since he's got here. You know, it's just been his style of play. You know, and Streeter's working his tail off to just kind of get him to fully commit to the fundamentals all the time.
How's DJ's psyche right now?
You know, I think DJ's in a good place. You know, I think we do a great job from a program standpoint of staying inside out. You know, making sure that we understand that really it's about the men and women and the players that are in the arena. You know, that matter most, and make sure that you're listening to the right voices, which is very challenging in this day and age, especially for a young person in a situation that he is. But you know, saw him yesterday and just say, hey man, we just gonna keep working. That's all we know to do is keep working and just keep coming every single day, bringing the right intensity, bringing the right focus, bringing the right energy. And if we do that, then you know, in due time, you know, it'll go the way we want it to go.
Going back to NC State, Tony Gibson. Watching the other night, I don't know football like you do, but you know, one play it's man on the outside, then it's showing zone, then it's showing zone backing out into man, showing man backing out into zone.
Yep.
DJ's now into a really difficult place,
Right.
to try and play.
Correct.
What have you seen out of those guys?
You know, like I said, they're experienced. They can disguise, you know, pretty good. And again, you think you got one thing, and the next thing you know, you got guys, you know, running everywhere. So it's gonna be a big week of preparation, just trying to study the film and pick out any tips, you know, that you can to kind of give you an idea, you know, from a coverage standpoint, what you're gonna get. But you know what the front's gonna look like. You're gonna have 3, you know, down linemen, but the rest of the configuration, whether you're gonna have 5 underneath, 4 underneath, 3 deep, 2 deep with a spy player. I mean, you got all kind of stuff to get ready for.
What do you tell him about that environment? Because there's been some issues up there, and it's a great crowd, and
Right.
it's loud, and this will be really his first true road start with a big crowd.
Right. You know, it's like anything else, though. You know, you tell them that once the game starts, the crowd don't really matter. You know, you just focus on you. Again, that inside-out approach. So once the game starts, don't worry about the environment. Just go focus on what you can control and trust your preparation and go play.
Tony, I know in open week you guys go back and look at tendencies and try not to be predictable. What do you do during the course of the season to try to avoid that as well?
We do that as well. So we don't just wait until the open week. You know, so every couple of weeks we'll do an evaluation just to try and see, you know, what tendencies that you have. There's some good tendencies. You know, when you're good at something, you're going to have a tendency. But then there's other things that you're just trying to evaluate to make sure that you don't tip too much of what you're doing. But we do that, you know, on a probably week-to-week basis. You know, with offense and defense looking at each other, and then about every 3 or 4 weeks we'll do a full evaluation of the offense.
Tony, how's the development of leadership been on the offense? I mean, you guys lost a lot of really strong pieces and good personalities who
Right.
take charge.
You know, that's an area where we're pushing our young men, you know, to step forward, because we got some unbelievable young men, and I think of Jordan McFadden, but Jordan McFadden's not an overly vocal guy. But we're challenging him to say, hey, man, your teammates want to hear from you. You know, they want to hear your perspective, and here's an opportunity for you to grow. Obviously, y'all know Matt Bockhorst. He's one of the best leaders we have in the program. Jay Ross is a quiet guy. So just really trying to push those quiet guys and stretch them to be a little bit more vocal with their teammates.
Is that something he uses free time? I guess, like, how do you balance still game planning and practice and all that kind of stuff while also figuring out?
Yeah, it's a lot of the fundamentals in practice time when we have individual drills, and then just carrying that over to every single practice rep. And again, you know, practices have been really good over the last couple weeks. So it's just okay, transitioning it from the practice field and trusting it and trusting your technique in the game. And that's a challenge for any athlete is to trust your technique, especially when you're ultra talented and for so long you've been able to get away with performing on just talent alone. Just bringing that technical piece is a challenge for anybody, and that's what the development process is, and that's why it takes some guys longer to be able to reach the field when maybe the expectation is that they should already be there. It's that transition of the technical aspect of the game, and then also the mental piece.
Justin Ross, obviously had a really disappointing Georgia game, but how have you seen him progress in the last couple of games? The guy missed the entire season last year.
Yeah, he's playing with a ton of energy. He's playing hard, playing physical. Did some good things on the perimeter blocking wise. You could see that he was being aggressive at the point of attack. Took a 6-yard route and turned it into 13. So he's playing with passion and energy. And obviously you can see that he learned from the Georgia game, and now he's transitioning that to everything that he does day in and day out.
Still feel like the best spot for him is sticking with the slot.
I think we don't have enough of a sample size to really evaluate yet. The games have been so crazy, and they've called for different things. We really haven't been able to have a game where we could really just say, okay, let's truly evaluate it. It's been a situation where, hey, we got to run the football. Let's be efficient in the passing game, take what we got. But hopefully over the next couple of weeks we'll be able to find some opportunities to open it up a little bit and give all those guys an opportunity to touch the ball, because you got guys like Frank. Frank's working his tail off, and he just didn't quite have any opportunities in the past game. So same thing with Joe and Gata. They're working their butt off. So we're still figuring that out, and hopefully things will kind of that cohesion will come together on the offensive line. We'll get settled in. Continue to establish the run game, and I think that'll lead to all the other stuff in our passing game.
We'll take a couple from Zoom.
Yep.
Coach, this is Trevor from CUTigers.com. You mentioned DJ trying to tune out the crowd. Marcus Tate, the freshman, had a couple of false starts on Saturday. Those are drive killers. How much of a concern is that, not only for him, but Walker Park's going to be really the first hostile environment for him as well?
We'll do a great job throughout the course of the week, presenting as much adversity from a noise standpoint as we can throughout the course of practice, and just challenge those guys to just focus in on what we can control. And at the end of the day, whether the stands are empty or full, it doesn't matter. If we know what we're doing, we're all on the same page. We take care of our business. We can tune all of that other stuff out.
And then NC State's defense, they lost a safety, starting safety, who had a pick in the opener, and also their leading tackler at linebacker a week ago. How do you think that will affect their ability to do what they do on defense?
Well, they got a ton of depth. So as we're watching them, you see number 2 come right in 11 spot. Doesn't look like they've missed a beat. With the safety position. Again, they got a ton of experience. Those guys know what they're doing. So obviously, I know it's big losses for them, but I think that they'll be okay from a depth standpoint from what I've seen on film.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you, Coach. We'll be joined momentarily by safety Nolan Turner.
All right.